This podcast is proudly sponsored by Gyro Drilling. They provide world-class drilling solutions for all types of projects. They specialise in auger, aircore and RC drilling. Head to the team at Gyro Drilling for all your mining needs and see how they can help you with your upcoming project. Hello, I'm Ben Kostrich and this is the Market Bull Podcast. As this podcast grows, every subscriber helps. From those of you who watch this on YouTube or to those that listen on Spotify and Apple, every follower helps. If you do this one favour and hit follow on whatever platform you find us on, I promise I will continue to look and find fascinating people across the world and bring their perspectives to you. Thank you and enjoy this episode. So hello, I'm Ben Kostrich and this is the Market Bull Podcast. I'm quite excited today. I'm sitting with David Lenigas, the Executive Chairman of Rincon Resources. For many, they've been seeing this stock code RCR just go parabolic over the last couple of days. I've spoken with Gary a few times and there's just a lot of interest in the company. But firstly, welcome to the show, David.
Yeah, hi Ben. Yeah, no, it's good to be here. A bit jet lagged. I just flew in last night from London after a week in the States.
Yeah, and we were talking before, you've really come here because there's a lot of things happening with Rincon amongst others. But
well, I know I was looking at coming in a couple of weeks' time because I'm chairman of a couple of companies here, but things have sort of escalated somewhat of importance. So, with all the drilling that's going on, there was a call to arms, so I'm here quite quickly, yeah.
Yeah, we'll go through a lot of what's happening, but I always like to understand who I'm sitting with in the room and where they've come from. And if someone's never heard of David Lenigas and they're clicking on this podcast, talk about your history and how you've sort of created your, I guess, a bit of your empire.
Oh, gosh, where do I start? No, we're in Perth. I lived here for a while. I worked in Kalgoorlie for some years with the Mines Department. Did my Kalgoorlie School of Mines mining engineering degree and left 1988 to go and head up the operations in Fiji for Emperor Mines at the time. I think it was market capped at, I think we got it up to about number 48 on the whole ASX. It was that big. And then I sort of went corporate from there. But, even though I'm in the mining business, from a profession perspective, I'm a bit of a globalist. I moved to London, Europe, 23 years ago, and it sort of made my career over there.
Yeah, you've had a global appetite. When I was going through your, I wouldn't say resume, but just your list of things and activities that you've done, you've got, there's probably places you haven't been, but I'd assume that most of them you've worked in. And if we drill down, polite pun, on Rincon Resources, talk to us about how that opportunity came to yourself and just about it, if no one's ever heard of it before.
Yeah, look, I was a shareholder in Rincon right from the get-go when it listed. I liked the play that they had up at Telfer, which Gary spent a fair amount of time, effort and money sort of developing before the big push now into Kirakara and everything out at Arunta. So I'd been following it for a while. And then after COVID, a couple of the big institutional brokers here in Perth asked me to come across and chair a few companies, which I did, and I'm still chairman of, both of which I think have got very good prospects this year. And then company number 3 was, some of the major shareholders asked me if I could come in and take control as chair of Rincon at the time, and that was about a year and a bit ago. So that's my entry into Rincon. I like the assets. All the stuff at Arunta has been in the company right from the get-go, right from the listing date. And Gary, to his credit, has sort of been gradually plodding through the whole process of getting Aboriginal permits, getting all the original work done to enable the drilling to happen. And the drilling is the truth pill, always is. And companies that drill find ore bodies. Companies that don't drill don't.
Yeah.
So we're drilling, and we've got some phenomenal projects to drill, and things are looking really good. Hence the call to arms and jump on the next plane.
Yeah,
so I'm here.
Well, we're speaking. Over the last couple of weeks, at least 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe, since I spoke with Gary, the share price at least has gone up near 400% on the back of some of the results.
Ben, it's not just the share price going up. I think our market cap was very low at the time, considering the assets that we had. But you need something to get the spotlight onto what you're doing. I think drilling sort of helps. The fact that WA1 in the same area is now sort of punching through $19 yesterday. I saw them while I was flying. It is now the hottest exploration area in Australia. And there's 3 or 4 players in the area, and we're one of them. And we're drilling. I mean, drilling's exciting.
Yeah.
We've got so many big targets to drill, and the chances. We've got 2 plays here. We've got the whole big IOCG copper gold thing, and then we've got the whole concept of, do we have another WA1 style Luni project, carbonatite with niobium, rare earths, and I think we've got a good shot at discovering 2, both of. So we're a 2-horse race.
That complicates, I shouldn't say complicated, it's a good problem to have in regards to all the drilling activity and just what's going to be coming to market. But I mean, more so the results have been, I guess, sort of proving or showing to the market what I assume a lot of the board and everyone in the team thought could have been unfolding.
Ben, there was always good copper hits there. Pre the deal going into Rincon, when Rincon listed, there were some great copper hits. It just needed to come together a lot more. And Gary and the team have put together the right geophysics. And the nice thing about what we're doing in the whole Arunta area is we don't need to invent the wheel. The WA1s and everybody else has invented the wheel. They've already come up with the geological model, and we're really using the tools that they've utilised to find what they've found. And we're finding a lot of copycats. On our ground, we're finding a whole lot of copycats to really, really big projects. And copper prices now punch through $10,000 a tonne. People have been waiting for that for a while, which is a very positive sign. So there's a lot of, in New York, I was talking to some of my fund manager mates who have been backing copper for a long time.
It's been an interesting ride for the copper.
Well,
bulls.
they've been pushing copper going through 10,000, for a couple of years, and now it is. And now you're seeing the whole M&A stuff, particularly with respect to Anglo America and
BHP.
All their copper, BHP.
Yeah.
So copper's in pretty big demand, and IOCGs are typically monster copper projects. So we're pretty excited about what we've got and what we're looking for.
So then, I mean, on the scale of, again, bringing this picture to the market, there's already been a fair bit of interest, as you said, because of a little bit of WA1, but you guys got the benefit of, as you said, niobium potentials and then the IOCG side of it. Going forward, you've got a bit of drilling results, geophysics to come, at least probably by time.
We've got a lot of stuff to come.
Yeah, what's the timeline roadmap looking like?
Ben, I've got to be fairly cautious on what I say. And I have to be very measured in how I put what I think we're coming up with, because I want the market to hear it first and not hear it from me. I'd rather it went through the regulatory news channels. We've finished the second diamond drill hole, which went to 650 odd metres. It was drilling the Bakali project. Bakali is the area where we've had some very good sort of copper hits in the upper zones. I don't want to say any more on that.
Okay.
But we announced the other day that we have a number of new targets from the gravity. Great names.
So then in regards to when can people anticipate this coming out? And
there's going to be so much new. I know Gary's in the mood to keep the market regularly informed. There'll be a news release on where we're going here, I think, at least every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So the market's not going to have to wait for long. We feel like we've got a tiger by the tail here now. The nice thing about diamond drilling and core is you can see what you're finding while you're drilling. It's a bit different than looking at drill chips as they come up from an RC rig. I like RC drilling from where we sit because we can drill more projects quicker. The problem there is you've got to wait to get your drill chips sort of sent off for assay, whereas at least with core you can see it, log it, analyse it, PXRF it, and get a fairly good idea what you're actually looking at. But the RC drilling phase, which has started now, is going to cover a lot of projects. We announced, I think yesterday, that's 2,000 metres initial program. I said to Gary, keep the ball alive, because I think we'll be not only 2,000 metres, but potentially
further.
Keep drilling. I mean, if we keep finding what we think we're going to find, there's no reason to stop drilling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that means that's a pretty exciting outlook for you guys, and that's really just, well, the excitement that's happened over the past handful of
Ben,
weeks
I've been
and months.
involved in a lot of exploration companies, and you know, exploration. And I always say to everybody I speak to, most explorationists go broke. You know, Paddy Hannon, the guy who found Kalgoorlie, died a poor man. You know, exploration companies, it's a difficult job in its nature. If it was that easy, everybody would be finding major deposits day in, day out. I've been involved in a lot of exploration plays over my sort of professional career, and this is probably one of the most exciting.
That's a big thing. Given your history in what you've done, I mean, this must give you a fair bit of confidence. So, looking at how, the impact that this potential discovery could have in regards to Australia,
we've got to call it a discovery, right?
No, you've got to be careful with your.
You've got to be careful with the nomenclature, right?
Yeah.
So, a discovery is. And I said this to Gary last night, concepts of what are discovery holes. Picali has already had a number of holes in the top of it. And they were drilled sort of well before the assets went into the company when it listed. So what actually constitutes a discovery? There's some big upside to everything we're doing there.
Yeah.
And where there's smoke, there's fire in this arrangement, and that whole sort of West Arunta and Arunta area. This is a very unexplored 800-pound gorilla country type stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, because when I was speaking with Gary, I mean, the land mass that you guys have in that region is quite massive. And he was talking about the potential of different drill targets, I guess, connecting the two as more drilling comes underway.
Yeah, look, right now we've got 6 priority 1 targets. And this, we put a diamond drill hole into the first 2, and they're IOCGs. We've got another 4 priority 1 targets and probably 3 or 4 priority 2 targets, all of which require drilling. So the RC phase we're doing now is going to stick the first few holes into projects that have never been drilled before. But the gravity and the magnetics, they're all coalescing to say, drill me, drill me, drill me. Put a hole right here, sir.
So from a paperwork point of view, is that stuff all also, I guess, compliant? I mean, what's the process of getting that all done? Yeah.
And everybody who thinks they can just sort of walk into the Arunta area
and just start drilling,
forget it. I mean, it's special Aboriginal land. You need permits in place just to even sort of go into the area. And once you get permits, then you've got to negotiate each program and heritage clearance site by site. Gary has a great relationship, and the Rincon team have a great relationship with the Aboriginal tribe up there, and the people that benefit from that whole arrangement. And when I spoke to Gary on it last night, he says that particularly with respect to what else is going on in Western Australia with heritage surveys, he said that he's got a fabulous relationship. So these next 4 projects that we're drilling with the RC program right now are already cleared, and we've now applied for a program of works to go and drill the other really big projects that we announced the other day, which sort of got the market really excited. And I think Gary was saying we're hopefully going to have another heritage survey stint sometime around about early May.
Well, we're in May now, aren't we? So it's in the...
Okay, so late May.
Late May, okay, yeah.
Yeah, late May.
Yeah.
In which case we could be drilling in June.
Jeez.
So, drilling in June a loony lookalike is going to make life interesting. And that's on top of all the stuff we're drilling right now, which is, IOCG and niobium targets.
So, as you said, the market's gotten quite excited with the drilling results, and that's the key. Do you feel that it's mostly coming in because of what's happening in the copper, and then, of course, like rare earths have been a difficult market for the last 24, 36 months?
Rare earths are difficult. And poor old Yangibana seems to be suffering from a rare earth.
It's not very popular at the moment.
And I know that whole Yangibana play very well because at one stage I owned a third of it through one of my other public companies. And the guys have done a great job to get it where it is. Twiggy's now a major shareholder in the play, but right now everyone's sort of a bit out of love with that whole Yangibana play in the Gascoyne. But rare earths are an odd beast, but unfortunately it's something the world needs. The Chinese still
For the
control over
magnets.
95% of it. Finding it's hard. Developing it's even harder, and finding markets for it is probably the impossible thing. So the metallurgy and the marketing of rare earths makes it a bit difficult. Where Looney's different is it's such big project, such good grade. Niobium is key, and it could be just a multi-billion-dollar play. But we'd like to find one of them.
Yeah.
But I'd also like to find a couple of big IOCGs.
So, again, when you're talking about Rincon and this package, and this is where all the attention is, I mean, you guys have got a few other things lying in the portfolio, but of course, I can imagine the priority has all been shifted.
No one wants to talk about that. I mean, we were talking internally.
Gold,
do we float off our Laverton gold assets?
Yes.
There's some phenomenal potential there.
And given the strength of gold as well, for someone that's a potential good opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, and it's certainly something that the board is considering, is actually floating off Laverton Gold as Laverton Gold. It sits within a single-purpose subsidiary on the basis that we can do that. We are doing some work to develop the whole gold potential around Laverton. I think right now at Telfer, we're just going to leave that on ice for a bit. I mean, we've spent a lot of money up there in the last sort of 3-4 years developing the concepts. And now that sort of Telfer's been bought by Newmont, you've got a whole changing dynamics in that whole Telfer region. We were close to negotiating some joint ventures with some majors on our package there. But Newmont bidding for Newcrest sort of really put a hot poke in that whole arrangement. So I think we're well and truly up on our expenditure commitments, so there's no real urgency for us to spend any of the company's money up there to keep it in good order. Laverton is very interesting on the gold front. I think we'll see gold sort of punching through 4,000 Aussie dollars an ounce sometime in the next year, principally led from central bank buying. The Chinese are just voracious.
Well, that was starting last year as well, the central bank
buying
gold.
I mean, one of my mates in England is the ex-CEO of the World Gold Council, and we speak quite regularly, and his view is that this gold run hasn't finished. Central banks now loading back into gold as opposed to disposing of it. They've got to find something to back their currencies and their debt, and gold sort of seems to be sort of sitting right up there. So Laverton's good upside for us. But right now, 95 cents in the dollar from our waking moments at Rincon is West Arunta.
Yeah, and that probably feeds into the point, I believe, earlier this year you guys did a capital raise as well to get some money in the bank to deploy.
Well,
in
we
the
copped a lot of
well.
criticism for that. I mean, but what... And you sort of sit there as a board and you go, okay, you don't want us to raise money as shareholders, but when I finish spending this last lot of money, I know I'm going to have sub $500,000 in the bank. What am I going to do with sub $500,000 in the bank? And the moment I report in my quarterly report that I've got less than $500,000 in the bank, everyone goes, you're pregnant with a capital raise. I don't want to touch it. See you later, sunshine. And we knew that we had this drill program to kick on with, and we wanted to go RC drilling. And we saw our brokers and said, okay, the market's not really going to like a capital raise. We can raise, but now that we've got the momentum going, summer's finished, the wet season really put a kibosh on us. I mean, the whole of the rain delays. It was huge. I mean, everything was underwater. And we just said, okay, let's take the opportunity, raise some more money while we can. And now we're well funded for this next drill program, which we're doing at the moment. We're well funded for it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, we've had so many offers from the street for funding in the last 2 days. I mean, I was speaking to Blair Sargent, who's also on our board, who used to be the chairman. He's had a proposal as well today. Can we raise you some money? I know Gary's got 2 more conversations today. But right now it's interesting that
the
people are
dynamic
calling.
Is very switched. It's gone from no one wants to know about you to then everyone wants to be your friend.
And I said to Gary last night, it's good when they're calling you, offering you money, because normally it's the other way around. Please, sir, can I have some money? I want to go and...
I need to finish my drilling.
Or I want to go and do this, and everyone goes, I'm going to screw you in the meantime while we get it done. So, but right now we're in a pretty good position, but it's nice that we've got half a dozen groups wanting to give us money or work towards giving us money. So, but right now,
you're funded, you're ready to go with this current program.
Well, we're public, so you always raise money.
Yes.
Right? So we're an exploration company. We're just not ready to raise money right now.
No.
I think there's a lot of value add that we can bring to this company before we consider pushing the button. But you never say never as a public company with respect to money raise.
Yeah. And I think, as we know, in the exploration game, it's really the only way to get a bit of access unless you bring in a joint venture or a potential other partner.
The other thing too is raising money also broadens your share base, your shareholder base. Because if I look at Rincon historically in the last year, it hasn't moved much, and it's been the right hand selling to the left hand, selling to the right hand, selling to the left hand. To get a stock to be more active, you need to spread your shareholder base. Now, that's obviously happened in the last 4 days. I mean, I haven't added it all up, but I'm fairly sure in 4 days we've traded more shares than all the shares on issue in the company.
Jeez.
I mean, we've got 220 million shares on issue. We did 90 million shares alone yesterday. And coming in here this morning, I think we're up to 15 million shares already. So, and our top 20 hasn't shifted much. But, I read on Hot Copper while I was flying on the plane last night.
That's a dangerous game to do, reading the Hot Copper forums.
Well, I know, but some people, there's not too many forums. I mean, if you look at London, London's littered with half a dozen chat forums. What have you got in Australia, really? It's Hot Copper. But, for good and bad, you sort of get a feel for what shareholders are saying. And, the reason I mentioned Hot Copper is one guy said, I bought in and sold out 3 times yesterday.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of trading liquidity.
Yep.
Volatility's good. I still think, with a market cap of 22 million, which is what it is when I walked in here this morning, Aussie, with such great exploration prospects, I think we've got something to work for. Something to be excited about.
And you just mentioned there about the top 20 shareholders. We won't go through all of them, but importantly is the board and the people that have been around yourself and Gary. I mean, talk us through a little bit about who else is part of this.
You've got the CPS guys.
Yep.
You've got Jason Peterson, who's been very influential in this, and David Valentino. Dan Fraser, he's been a big shareholder in his group at Ironside. Right from the get-go, right from when this company IPO'd, and I know Dan's been a great supporter of this all the way through. And then you got people like Steve Dobson, who's been a good constant shareholder ever since I've been on the board. There's some real supporters in here, and I think a lot of the support has been because the structure hasn't blown up too. What have we got? 220 million shares. We'd like to have less shares on issue, which potentially means you've got a higher share price. But you've got to raise funds when you need to raise funds, and you raise funds to spend it in the ground to go and drill something, to find something. It just so happens that right now we've got some really juicy things to go looking for.
So going forward, I mean, what can investors anticipate coming from Rincon other than probably this continuous supply of news?
I'd like to say discovery.
Yeah.
I'd like to be sitting here in a couple of months going, look what the guys have found. And then it's a drill out job as opposed to a drill up job. It's a drill out job. So, but with half a dozen really top priority targets for IOCG and niobium in one area, which one's the priority one? I think this drilling that we're doing at the moment will show us which is the one we need to spend the next generation of fundraising drilling out towards. So, but which one's it?
Yeah.
We've got Pekali, we've got Pekali North, we've got Pekali South, we've got Pekali East, you've got Arrow, you've got, the Duke, they're all coming up. Jewel, Surprise, I mean, all within an area of 20, 30 kilometres. Yeah.
Jeez.
Not far from something that's really grabbed the market's attention, like this Looney discovery.
Well, again, the WA1 Success, I mean, when you look at how big that discovery has become.
If WA1 hadn't been a success, no one would give a rat's clacker
But that's all it takes
about
to
the
show,
work that we're doing.
It takes to shine a spotlight in an area like when you look at Azure Minerals and what they did with their lithium, and then all of a sudden the interest came in, and you saw I think they just got their international approval.
Got their approvals, for the FIRB yesterday or the day before. Fantastic.
Yeah. And that's all it takes is one big discovery in an area to then shine a spotlight.
They don't even have a resource.
No, true. Well, lithium is bouncing back a little bit, but yeah.
Look, lithium. I like lithium, and lithium got down to $10,000 for a ton of LCE. It's back up to 15,000. So I mean, it's up 50% in literally 6 months.
Yeah.
So the lithium game isn't over. I think lithium this year will get back up to sort of into the 20,000s for the LCE, but I think 2025 you're going to see potential new highs again.
Well, it's finally a good period of time to be an explorer in some regard, because suddenly a lot of these commodities are coming to the forefront in great breakout prices: uranium, copper, lithium rebounding, rare earths, probably still infancy in the market.
I think rare earths has still got some issues.
Yeah.
It's a broader rare earth game. If you look at the stuff around the gas going where it was hot for rare earths and down at Esperance, a lot of those companies are down on their bums again. But they'll have their days. But and unfortunately, in the meantime, these companies have got to raise money and blow the capital structure out to keep alive.
Yeah. No, again, the Rincon Resources bounce recently. I wouldn't say bounce out of the blue. Well, it was out of the blue, but there's been a lot of good results coming out.
But it's out of the blue on the basis of what we've been doing.
Yeah.
It's not like everyone woke up and said, "Oh wow, look, I've just found this thing called Rincon." I mean, Gary has put out some quite significant news releases in the last 4 to 6 weeks that we've been waiting for the market to say, "Hey, here we are," and they found us. We're getting 2,000 to 3,000 trades a day. I mean, that's phenomenal on the ASX for a little company like us. Well, if you said,
if the last 4 days have been the entirety of the company, I mean, the attention has definitely come in.
Yesterday's turnover was $8 million. If you look at GX and the ASX, I mean, that's more than our market cap was 2 weeks ago.
That's nuts.
But people have found it. So we're now on people's watch lists, and that's important. So now we've got to keep them there. And I think with all the work that we're doing and the fact that Gary's feeling very positive about the chances of what we're going to find and the fact we're going to try and keep the market as fully informed as we can as we grow this story into what we believe could be quite significant, shareholders will be happy with the fact that we're communicating so much.
Definitely. No, I appreciate it, Dave. This has been a phenomenal insight. I mean, I've known about Rincon for a while. I've seen the up and down, and now it's that period of time where, well, you can just see the steps in place to progress, and it's going to be a good one to watch. That's why you're in here talking about it.
Watch this spot. Well, I didn't get on an aeroplane in a hurry because I wanted to, because I had to.
Yeah.
What we're seeing at the moment, it's time for all the Rincon board to sort of be around, work out a plan forward, give Gary support, and you can't do that on Zoom. So, we're very excited about where this is going.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak on the show today. And
great.
Yeah, it's before you probably fly off, and then I'm sure you'll be back again soon.
I'm here for 10 days. It's always good to come back to Perth. Sort of my roots were sort of here from a mining perspective, and I've got some Rivers Gold and Odessa stuff to sort out. They've both got sort of good project development paths for this year. It's time to get busy there too. So, but right now this is Rincon.
Yeah, I have to get you back to talk about all those other ones in the future. But no, thank you so much, David. And
It's been great.
Thanks for listening to the Market Bull podcast. Please remember that the topics and stocks discussed in this podcast are not financial advice. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to like, share, and follow. You can follow the Market Bull on all our socials and keep up to date with global market insights.